Good day. In today's discussion, we will be discussing reason and impartiality. Let us first discuss the objectives of this topic. Number one, discuss the difference of reason and impartiality. Number two, analyze the importance of reason and impartiality in ethics. Number three, appreciate the importance of reason and impartiality. All right, so I have here a medical case which is somewhat related to our discussion, reason and impartiality. Anacephalic infants, these are babies without brains or cerebrum or cerebellum, and top of skull are missing. They have a brain stem, thus automatic functions like breathing, heartbeat, etc. All right, so are possible or usually aborted in the United States. So in the United States, these kind of babies are usually uh, aborted. Otherwise, half are still born and usually dies within days. In Florida in 1992, an Anacephalic without brain, no cerebrum or cerebellum but does have a brain stem, so automatic functions like breathing and heartbeat go on. Most detected and aborted. So, in some cases, if these babies are detected to have this kind of medical condition, anacephalic babies, they are usually aborted by their parents. Uh, of those not aborted are stillborn. So a 300-year born and usually die in few days. Can now this baby not live long and they will have no conscious life? All right. So most of these babies stay in a vegetative state. So their parents usually volunteered and and of course their doctors for organ transplant or for organ donations. For example, kidneys, livers, heart and lungs of the babies were given as donation for other babies, for other children who would benefit from it. 2,000 need transplant a year in the United States. But however, the Florida law prohibits removal of organs until donor is dead. So the only problem, the law in Florida prohibits organ donation to other babies or to other donors only if the donor himself is already dead. So taking organs out would kill the baby, especially if the baby is still alive. When Teresa died, this is an example. When Teresa died after 9 days, her organs had deteriorated and were worthless. Florida law forbids the removal of organs until the donor is dead. Baby Teresa died after 9 days. Her organs were too deteriorated and to be harvested or transplanted to other babies. Surprisingly, few ethicists sided with the parents and of course the physician of baby Teresa. So here are some of the arguments. It's just seems too horrifying to use people as means to other people's end. It is unethically to kill a person A to save person B. What the parents are really asking for is kill this dying baby so that this organ may be used for someone else. Well, that's really horrendous preposition. So the parents and the position of baby Teresa does not agree to the fact that the organ of the baby or the organs of baby Teresa should be given uh, to other babies. So here in the Philippines, this classic example, if I don't know if you're familiar with an owner type Jeep. An owner type Jeep is a modification of the US Jeep that were used during the pre uh, World War II or during World War II. All right. Of course, because of the ingenuity of Filipinos and Filipino mechanics, they were able to modify the US war jeep or military jeep. So it is commonly called now as the owner type jeep. Now, for your information, majority of the parts of an owner type jeep come from other parts of uh, other automobile or cars. So technically, the what's inside an owner type jeep, it's chop suey. If I don't know if you're familiar with the Filipino dish chop suey, wherein mixed vegetables. These are combinations of mixed vegetable and like uh, bagu beans, uh, repolyo, etc. So this is a kind of an example, a classic example, which can be attributed to an owner type Jeep. So this is also the case of the this particular baby Teresa, wherein her organ would be extracted from her and be given to other babies, and for this other babies to extend their lives through the organ of baby Teresa. Okay, the benefit argument. So the benefit argument goes in the contention that if you cannot benefit someone without harming anyone else, you ought to do so. So if we can benefit from a particular situation without harming the other, then let's go and accept and adapt uh, the hard truth. Transplanting the organs would benefit other children without harming baby Teresa. Therefore, we ought to transplant the organs. So, this is a puzzle for the physician and, of course, the parents of baby Teresa. So, they sided to the idea that uh, if donating the body of baby Teresa to other babies would not harm baby Teresa herself, then the donation is possible. Now, the question again for some ethicists, the argument that we should not use people as means. It is wrong to use people as means to other people's end. Taking Teresa's organs would be using her to benefit other children. Therefore, it should not be done. So, for some ethicists, extending one's extending other baby's life because of the donation of some organs of baby Teresa is not a very good sense at all. So they even debated that it is wrong to use people as means to other people's end. So technically, it's correct. So you don't use people to achieve your goals and aspirations in your life. So because if you achieve or reach the top of your success and you have used other people to reach that particular success, by the time that you by the time that you are already done reaching your success, those people that you have used along the way along the way when you have reached your success will also be the same people you will meet when you are already going down at the top of your success. All right? How is baby Teresa being used? In a vague sense of use, what does it mean? So, what does use mean? Violating baby Teresa's autonomy. Baby Teresa has no autonomy to violate. She has no preference about anything, nor she had ever had any. So in this particular case, baby Teresa has no other choice but to be dependent on the decision of her parents. The argument from the wrongness of killing. It is wrong to kill one person to save another. Now, here in the Philippines, we are a very religious country, and most Filipinos are very religious and family centered. Even to the point that we take good care of those who are ill and up until to their last breath, because that's the composition of the Filipino values. We value family so much that other options, medical options that will harm one family member uh, would not be practiced and is not usually practiced here in the Philippines. Taking Teresa's organs would be killing her to save others. So taking the organs would be wrong. Correct. Because even if uh, baby Teresa is in the stage of uh, existence, taking her organs out would mean that you are partly killing baby Teresa. All right. Now, the question there is baby Teresa died after 9 days. Baby Teresa died after 9 days. So, is it right to take her organs out of her and to be donated to other children? Uh, Ideally, since baby Teresa is uh, still on a very dependent stage to her parents, the one that should decide not is not the position of baby Teresa, but baby Teresa's parents. All right, so it depends on the parents of baby Teresa. Should there be an exception to the rule? Baby Teresa is not conscious. She will never had a life. She's going to die soon. Anyway, and taking her organs would help other babies. Should we regard baby Teresa as already dead? Perhaps we should revise our definition of death. So some argues that baby Teresa soon will die or will soon die. So therefore, uh, might as well other babies benefit from her organ. Right? Again, as mentioned, since baby Teresa is on this particular case dependent to her parents, the one that should decide uh, for her organs to be donated is none other than baby Teresa's parents. Reason and impartiality. So we connect this particular case or that particular case to our discussion, which is reason and impartiality. So moral judgment must be backed by good reason. So here, uh, what this definition is trying to tell us, whatever judgment that we should do, it must be backed by good reason. So before you decide, you must think not only once or twice, but thrice. And those reason must be, those reason and those analyzation of yours must be valid not only for you, but for both sides. Morality requires that impartial consideration of everyone's interests. So again, as mentioned, you should also consider not only your interests, but also other people's interests. Now, according to Albert Einstein, if people are good only because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we are sorry lot indeed. All right. Now, in the past, when I was taking my bachelor's degree, I took the subject ROTC. Now, during our first day, our military officer, actually a student officer, mentioned to us, what you see, what you hear, leave it here. So, uh, to a normal student like me during those particular times, I was really anxious and curious what those particular statement of her mean. Then along the way, I've noticed that while we are having our formation in the military base, actually it's not in a military base, in an air base in Pasay City. Uh, I can see those students being punished for one misdeed by a military officer, doing push-up, pumpings, being soaked in the heat of the sun. All right, and female, uh, some female, some female students being teased by student officers, especially if they this student officer find those particular female students to be pleasing and pretty. So uh, at the end of the day, at the end of that particular day, uh, we were told whatever you see and whatever you hear and whatever you uh, have experienced in this particular day, do not share it with others. Sabing ganon. So then I thought, all right, this is how they do it. So we that's the reason why I dropped ROTC, because some students, especially those students officer, uh, took the unpad took the advantage of violating the rights of other students, especially uh, the freshmen, for their gains, because they were student officers. And during those times, the equivalent of ROTC is 1.5 unit. So, uh, in a 4-year course, you have to take ROTC for 2 years. Now, you will take ROTC, or you have a choice. You may either take ROTC, you may either take NSTP, you may either take CWTS, or you may either take LTS, or Literacy Training Service. So, and per sem, it's only equivalent to 3 units. So, you will only take ROTC now for 1 year, for 1 year. Not unlike before, you have to take ROTC for 2 years. Every semester, you have, for 2 years, you have one ROTC subject. So you could just imagine the stress being soaked in the sun every Saturday or every Sunday for 2 years, and you will always hear the the student officer being so rude with other students, cutting the cutting the portions of hair of other students, especially if it did not reach the standard military haircut. So, and being humiliated to other students. So these are the kind of training that I disagree uh, in the practice of ROTC, because some students violate the human rights of other students. So if we connect it to this statement, if people are good only because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we are sorry, lot indeed. If you're obeying because you fear punishment and you do not use your reason and you do not use your senses for obeying someone, then you're already a robot. That is the meaning of this statement coming from Albert Einstein. So what he is trying to say is we need to use our reason for us to uh, give our decision every time. Moral reasoning. We cannot rely on feelings, our feelings, no matter how powerful they might be. Our feelings may be irrational and may be nothing but products of prejudice, selfishness, or cultural conditioning. So, uh, again, here on this definition, if deciding if deciding we only use our feelings, then uh, that particular decision might uh, not be good for both parties. All right. Our feelings may be irrational and may be nothing but products of prejudice, selfishness, and cultural conditioning. So, what this definition is trying to tell us that we should not rely on our emotions. We should also rely uh, and we should base our judgment based on uh, who will benefit. And for example, uh, there must be uh, the, both parties should benefit from a particular decision. So we should not use our emotions. And most of the time, our emotion fails us. All right. So when is the proper time to decide? When all our emotions are set down. So when uh, your emotions are set down, you can logically state a good and sound judgment. The morally the morally right thing to do is always the things best supported by arguments. So you must think not only once, twice, but thrice for you to decide. How can we tell if argument or if an argument is really good? Okay. How can you tell that the argument is really good? Get the facts straight. Bring moral principle into play. All right. So you have to lay down the facts, and of course you have to infuse your moral principle, your personal moral principle, and the accepted moral principle in our society. Okay. The requirements of impartiality. So impartiality means you're being fair. Okay, everyone's interest is equally important. No one should get a special treatment or preferential treatment. So, for example, if you are paying your bills in the bills payment of uh, one department store, you should wait for your turn. Not you should not practice compadre, comare, mare, pila ako dito. Mare, pila mo ako dyan. No. You should wait for your turn. Okay? Discrimination is unacceptable. So, if you're being impartial, discrimination is technically unacceptable. Why? Because discrimination prohibits someone's opportunity to be on that particular level of the competition. Example, um, if you're in a competition and if you would like your candidate to win on that particular competition, you do not bash other competitors of your contestant. All right? You do not say, it's negra, oh, it's because uh, you're already giving the definition of what kind of people you are and uh, what kind of candidate uh, we already have. All right? You don't do that. Just play fair. The minimum concept of morality. Morality is at the very least the effort to guide one's conduct by reason. That is, to do what are the best reason for doing while giving equal weight to the interests of each individual affected by one's decision. So, morality is the effort to guide one's conduct by reason. Reason that would balance between both parties. Okay? So, let's summarize our discussion. Differentiate morality and feeling. What is more appropriate to use between these two when deciding? So, morality is all about the correct judgment and correct action. And feeling is one's person's emotion on a particular situation. So, what is more appropriate to use between these two when you're deciding? You have to use your moral judgment or your morality when you're deciding. Because when you're deciding, you're using your reason, you're using your common sense. All right? Not unlike when you're when you only use your feeling, you only decide based on how you feel on that particular situation. For example, somebody gives you a flower. Of course, the tendency is uh, either you reject the flower or you accept the flower. You accept the flower because you like the one giving the flower or giving you the flower. You reject the flowers because you do not like the person giving the flowers. So, uh, your judgment is on this particular case is based only on your emotion. So, what's the right thing to do? What's the right thing to do? If you apply morality or your moral judgment, you accept the flower. Why? Because it's a form of gratitude. All right, it's a form of gratitude. It's a form of gratitude in the sense both parties will benefit from it. All right, either you reject the flower because you do not like the person. uh, that's really not a good, that's really being rude to the person. So how can one determine if one act is committed right or wrong? um all human beings have their own conscience, and conscience uh, as defined by religious teachers, conscience is the voice of God given to man. I don't know if you believe in God, but observe this. If you have conducted or if you have done a wrong deed, at the back of your mind, someone is trying to tell you again and again, you have done, what you have done is wrong. What you have done is wrong. And that's reason. And reason is commonly called our conscience. And our conscience is the voice of God telling you you have done a bad thing. All right? So, what you have done is, if you're asking if your judgment is right or wrong, you will see the result. And usually the result only favors one person. All right? So, with that, class dismissed. Bye.